All right, well, we'll go ahead and jump in. My name is Sarah Heineken. I take the pronoun she, hers, and I'm an intercultural programs advisor here at CGIS. Today, we're going to be talking about getting credit abroad and what the transfer process looks like when you do a program with CGIS. So feel free to put questions in the chat. I'll be monitoring, or you can raise your hand and ask questions and then unmute yourself. So, all right. So first we're going to focus on LSA students. So if you are an LSA, here are some big things that you need to know. So first of all, we want to demystify the process and make sure it's clear as possible. So CGIS courses transfer automatically. They are not considered transfer courses. They are considered in residence courses. So what happens is we'll get your transcripts from your partner program, and then we'll put them on your transcripts automatically. You do not need to submit courses or transcripts to the Office of Undergraduate Admissions, and you shouldn't refer to the TCE or Transfer Credit Equivalency database for CGIS coursework because, again, it's all going to transfer. The only exception is that there are some food and wine and studio art and fashion merchandising courses that don't transfer. That's because we don't have an equivalent here whatsoever in terms of departments or course offerings. But beyond that, courses also don't need to transfer in as like a one-to-one to an existing course. As long as they're taught in a field that is taught here at U of M, they will transfer. The courses you take will factor into your GPA. Unless you take a course pass-fail. Pass-fail courses are beholden to the same policies on campus, which is they cannot be counted towards majors or minors, but there's also no cap on the amount of courses that you can take pass-fail abroad, as long as you're meeting your 90 minimum graded credits overall for your degree. And you can withdraw from courses abroad. However, a couple stipulations is that late withdrawals will be recorded as W's on transcripts, and you must maintain full-time status while abroad, which is 12 credits or higher. So, yeah, most students, we recommend taking 15 to 18 credits abroad, just to have a little bit of buffer. The average, I would say, is 15, and then that way, if you withdraw from a course, you have a little bit of cushion, and so that you don't drop under full-time status. Just admit this person here. Okay, great. So a frequent question that we get is, will study abroad extend my graduation date? In almost all cases, no, it won't. So we offer a variety of program lengths, including during the summertime. So there's lots of ways to go on shorter term programs if you have a really sequence heavy major. Also, even if you want to go abroad for a full semester, a year, careful planning in advance helps prevent needing to take unexpected courses once you return. We also have major advising pages or maps, so you can search programs on our website by major. So if you're like, I'm an econ major and I'd really like to go somewhere because I need, 2 or 3 courses towards my econ major or something like that, then you can use our maps to check out which programs are best suited towards your major. Going abroad only extends your time to graduation if you have outstanding degree requirements that cannot be at least partially fulfilled abroad. So a lot of times people will say, oh, I really, really want to go to a specific country. Like I really, really want to go to Italy, for example. But that particular country is not well suited towards their major. So you are not required to take courses towards your major or minor, but if there are no courses there and you were really counting on them, maybe you should look into a program that is more well suited to your major. You also might need to extend your time to graduation if you are a graduating senior on a summer program in your final year. And sometimes, depending on the program, if you're doing your final semester abroad, it might extend your time to degree. And then also, if transcripts are expected significantly later than the end date of your graduating term, this can also delay graduation. But in all other cases, most students are able to fit in one or more study abroad programs and still complete their degrees on time. So if you're an LSA student, these are the types of college requirements for LSA that you cannot get credit for and you can get credit for. So you cannot get credit for predominantly college-wide requirements. So those are the first year writing requirement, upper level writing requirement, quantitative reasoning requirement, and race and ethnicity. That being said, you can work on your distribution, so your area distribution or your additional distribution. In both cases, humanities and social science credits are common at most locations. So the more of these credits you have left to complete, the better it tends to be for program selection for study abroad. All the credits also count towards the 100 LSA credits. There's a small exception to that, which we'll talk about in just a moment. And then also, if you have the LSA language requirement, and if you're taking Spanish, Italian, or French, you could fulfill your LSA language requirement abroad with one of our spring-summer programs. These programs are only offered during spring-summer to fulfill the LSA language requirement, and they're only for these 3 languages at this time. A note on language requirement programs is that you do have to take them for a letter grade as the last semester of the 4th semester level of the language must be taken in residence, which CGIS programs are, and then also for a letter grade. So how do you get LSA college requirements approved? So you're definitely going to want to obtain a syllabus. So for the language requirement programs, these are already pre-approved to fulfill that requirement. But for anything else, so if you want to go abroad, you say, hey, I have 7 credits of humanities left, or, oh, I have, I want to take 9 credits of social science or something like that. That would all go through your general advisor. You would need to get a syllabus for the course, and then you would meet with your general advisor, which is either Noonan, Honors, the Residential College, or Comprehensive Studies program. And they would look over the syllabus and say, okay, this course seems to have, mostly humanities content. We can approve it for that requirement. Or, oh, this looks like an interdisciplinary class. They are the ones who make the final call on whether or not a course can fulfill distribution. That being said, CGIS advisors do have a pretty good idea of which programs seem to have courses that are well suited towards fulfilling distribution. But ultimately, if you ask us if we can approve courses, that is not something CGIS can do. It has to go through your general advisor. Next, if you want to get credit for a major or a minor, the types of credits you can get does vary greatly by department. So obviously we have tens if not hundreds of majors and minors here at LSA. Some majors and minors are really restrictive, such as biology or chemistry, and then some majors are really flexible, such as cognitive science or psychology, or international studies. Generally, courses are if courses are available in your subject, students often receive credit for cognates, upper level electives, and any remaining credits in their major. Generally, the threshold that most departments look for is 50% or higher content in an area specifically related to that department. So the course petition process will vary greatly by department as well. But again, the key thing is to get a syllabus from the on-site course and then meet with your major or minor advisor. Some key things to note is that your advisor will determine the course level, whether it's 100, 200, 300, or 400 level, and which specific requirements in that major or minor a course may fulfill. So all CGIS courses, when you're abroad, you have a placeholder number. For example, STD ABRD 300. They're all STD ABRD for study abroad. And then the number that is attached to it is completely arbitrary. So if you have, if you're at a program in Amsterdam and the program is ST ABRD 300, it will state the actual course title next to it, but that course level may be determined to be a 200 level class by your advisor, or it could be a 400 level course. So again, we cannot at CGIS approve courses for major and minor requirements, but we do have, as previously mentioned, our major advising pages. We make these in tandem with departments to try and curate programs so that you know which ones are best suited for your major. So we usually send those off to departments to evaluate. Also, some departments keep pre-approval course lists, and those can be linked sometimes on our major advising pages. So again, this is an excellent resource you should check out. I can briefly exit out of my presentation here and show you what that looks like. So this is on our website. So you can explore CGIS programs by region, by length, or ones that are more financially accessible. And then here we have the by major page. Let's take psychology as an example. Psychology has a lot of programs that are well suited towards the major. And you can see program recommendations if you scroll down, as well as a webinar. And then also they have a pre-approved course list that we link to that's run by the department. And here you can see the institution and check out, you know, if it's been approved for BCN, for the BCN major or the psychology major. It tells you what type of credit you stand to receive and if the core program is a CGIS program or not. All right. So a next logical question is, you know, well, at what stage do I start to get course approvals? This is an ongoing process. Oftentimes students will want significant pre-approvals to determine which programs to apply to. However, you have to bear in mind that, you know, like here at U of M, course catalogs often aren't available until closer to the next semester. So if you're thinking about applying for a program for winter 2025 and you want to start getting course approvals, well, you know, course catalogs for winter 2025 may not be ready until October or November of 2024. There's many things you can do. Sometimes courses are posted early, or it's for certain that certain courses are running again. You can look at pre-approval course lists to see where students have historically had a lot of luck bringing back courses. You can also choose based on location and choose to work more on distribution. So it's a bit of an ongoing process. However, in general, you will probably want to start doing course approvals after you've been accepted to your program and before you depart. So you will need to do some research in order to make program selections, but ultimately the course approval process, either with your general advisor for LSA requirements or with your major minor advisor for major and minor requirements, that will all begin later down the line. You will also get access to these slides later, so don't worry if you don't memorize all of this. So now this next section pertains more to non-LSA students, but that being said, there are some considerations for LSA students taking non-LSA classes on our program abroad. So we'll move on through those. So students from all undergraduate students at the Ann Arbor campus may participate in CGIS programs. We're going to highlight some of the other schools and colleges on our campus that commonly participate in our programs. So first of all, students from the College of Engineering frequently participate in our programs. A few things to know is that all courses from our programs will come in as transfer credit and receive a T grade. So it is not the same as LSA where they're in residence and you get grades that factor into your GPA. Also, the College of Engineering has their own transfer database, which you would want to refer to. It's very important that you meet with your general engineering advisor prior to starting the study abroad process. It's also not a bad idea to meet with international programs and engineering as well. Some restrictions and considerations are that students cannot do a CGIS program that is also offered through IPE, so International Programs in Engineering. So for example, CGIS and IPE Both offer programs at Carlos III University in Madrid, University of New South Wales, Australia, with DIS Stockholm, etc. So if we both offer those programs, if you are an engineering student, you will need to go through the IPE version of the program. Also, most courses on CGIS programs will not count towards engineering coursework requirements, so they may count more towards distribution or required credits outside of COE credits. So it's most common to receive distribution credits in humanities and social science. So I know that engineering students like to balance out their semesters a bit because they have such challenging course loads, but if you can hang on to those humanities and social science credits, it is to your benefit if you want to study abroad with CGIS. Another distinction is, of course, we have computer science engineering through the College of Engineering, and then we also have CSLSA. So CSLSA and data science should default to CGIS as their primary study abroad unit, whereas COE, computer science engineering students should default to IPE as their primary unit. For competitive programs, CSLSA and data science students will be prioritized for program spots on CGIS programs. And CSLSA and data science students can also apply to LSA scholarships, such as the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship. If you are a STEM student, then you also may want to check out at 3 p.m. today. We are having a STEM specific info session that will elaborate more on the previous points. So you should have registered for it in sessions, but we also provided the Zoom link here. So that's at 3 p.m. Also, we very frequently have Ross School of Business students who participate in our programs. So for Ross students, you do receive in-residence credits, and the grades do factor into your GPA, and courses can be taken pass-fail. However, a bachelor's in business administration students should not enroll in courses that would be evaluated as business credit. So if you're a Ross student and you take a business course, it will show on your transcript, but will not count towards your degree or degree requirements. Therefore, Ross students commonly fulfill credit towards their language requirement. For Ross students only, you can take this pass-fail with approval from your advisor. You do have to get it approved by your advisor. This does not apply to LSA students. If you do one of our language requirement programs, it must be taken for a grade. And then distribution, as we've said a lot before, humanities and social science is most common, but sometimes students also fulfill math and symbolic analysis or natural science credit. I have a program where there are some really cool natural science courses available in Sorrento in Italy, where you can take like introduction to volcanology or marine biology, and those may potentially be approved for natural science credit. A note on business courses. So if you're an LSA student and you go abroad and they offer some business or marketing courses, a couple things to know. One, it will not transfer back as LSA credit. It will transfer back as non-LSA credit, which is not necessarily detrimental. Most students who are not transfer students, this will not impact you in the slightest. But it is a good thing to consult with your general advisor about. The other thing, which is not on the slide, is that if you're applying for the Ross Business minor, I do not believe that courses are generally transferable for that minor. I have seen students get credit for the elective on the entrepreneurship minor through Ross, but the business minor generally needs to be conducted on campus. And thus, unless you consult with a Ross advisor and clarify if there are courses that can be used from study abroad towards that, you should budget taking most of your Ross courses on campus if you're doing that minor. Finally, there are lots of other schools. We've absolutely had students from School of Information, from nursing, from Taubman Architecture School, from the School of Music, Theater, and Dance, kinesiology, public policy, public health. We've had the full gambit. In those instances, we generally will refer you back to your home school to understand how do CGIS and LSA credits work with your degree. if you can take courses pass fail, and do the courses count as in residence and transfer credits. That being said, one of our peer advisors is a UMSI student. So if you want to speak with them, you can get in contact with me and we can put you in touch with our peer advisors. So that wraps up my information. I wanted to make sure that there were time for questions because I know this can feel like an overwhelming process, but I promise we try to streamline it as much as possible. We're there for you. Does anyone have any questions?